All right, hey folks, we're going to do some artwork this morning. What's going on? My name is Phil Kearney. I create role-playing games. I illustrate them and I publish them online. And we're creating an adventure for the Eberron campaign setting called Crystals of Mabar. You can see the book cover here on screen. It's for characters level 7, 8, ending at level 9. And we're fighting undead demons and necromancers in the Carnwood of Karnath of the continent of Corvair. Hey, my sound sounds good. Yeah, fighting undead demons and necromancers in the Carnwood in the nation of Karnath in the continent of Corvair on the Eberron campaign setting world. I'm taking a minute here to update my social media posts, so you can catch me in a minute after I complete all of this stuff. So I just need to grab social media links here and do my updates and hit post. Click, click, click. 2 more clicks to go. Click, click, done. Okay, cool. Let's clear this out of the way and we'll get back zoomed in. If this is stuff that you find interesting today, thank you. I really appreciate you. Like, subscribe, hit the bell icon for notifications when we're live in the future. Here's a bunch of books that we've created on the DMsGuild already. They all have free previews chock full of art and ideas. Check them out if you're interested. My Discord community if you want to playtest some of the stuff that you see me doing here on stream. Hey, what's going on, Redondo? It's good to see you. So let's dive back into the mix. Book cover we made back around episode 40. We just hit episode 650. It's a little ridiculous. The 16:9 format, I have a typo over here I have to correct. It should be 40 and 80 feet, but whatever. We're currently working on corner vignettes over here. We're working inside of the manifest zone where the mist is heavy and obscures vision after 40 feet of clear air, and then it's obscured for another 40 feet, and then you can't see beyond it at all. So that's what we're doing down here, just basically showing the environment that the characters are adventuring inside of during the once they get through the Carnwood to the manifest zone. This is the environment that they're in. Hey, right on. Let's see. Yeah, I don't think anything is going to, like, this whole ID thing that Discord's decided to go with. I don't think that's going to interrupt anything that happens on my channel. I'm not one of those type of people that have an NSFW sort of channels or anything. It's just D&D stuff, which is for everybody, all ages. So I don't see anything changing on my Discord personally. However, if there's a large migration away from Discord as a result, then I am open to the idea of migrating as well. What is, oh yeah, that's over there. What are we working on here? We're building out shadows in the mist for us to indicate the obscuring effect of the fog that fills the manifest zone. So that is where I'm going to go ahead and put a I'm going to put a blop on that. We're going to call this one ground, and then we're going to add in a new filter here, and I'm going to go with that. Let's just push it up a smidge in the green. Yeah, that'll work. What's up? Migration from Discord. I think I missed something. There's a new Discord is enacting a new policy in March that's going to require, if you want to engage with not safe for work content, you have to provide proof of age, either with a visual image or a copy of some sort of photo ID that verifies your age. If you don't provide that authentication, they assume that you are underage, like less than adult status or teen status only, so you'll have access to everything on Discord unless it's being labeled as not safe for work, or I guess their computers pick it up as not safe for work. I don't do nude art or anything like that on my website. I don't think language is going to be a flag involved with that, so I can keep cussing like a pirate. But it is going to impact a lot of sites that do provide not safe for work stuff. Like, I don't know if it's you won't be able to access their Discord at all, or if it's just this channel is going to be blocked. I think what it does is it filters, like it puts the blocked filter blur image over things that it thinks is questionable. And if you try to reveal it, it'll say you're not logged in as an adult. Please provide an ID. I'm an American, so I hate suppression of freedom of speech in any form. And it's the form of speech we hate the most that we have to protect the most, because if we say something if somebody says something that offends us, we might be angry about it, but it's a lot better than not being allowed to say something that you think that needs to be said. So I'm not a big fan of where Discord is going with this. It's a corporate protection tactic, as a lot of European countries, probably elsewhere as well, are getting what's the word? They're getting. It's all for the children. They're trying to protect the children. They're afraid the children are seeing smut on the internet, and they think forcing companies to be accountable for it is the solution, as opposed to just responsible parenting. So yet again, lazy parents are destroying the world. That's what's going on with Discord, roughly. I'm not the expert. Hey, what's going on, Karen? Well, I'm almost done with the adventure, so good time to tap back in. It's after this illustration, we've got one more similarly small scale piece to do, and then the only thing left is to finish assembly and to publish. Off screen, I've been investing time in importing the images and doing all the, like, we've got all the navigation bar at the bottom here. This is all hyperlinked at this point, so if I were to click here on 3, it would take me to the beginning of part 3. This is the manifest zone that we're inside of part 2. So this is like 2 pages into part 2. But then if you click this, it'll take you to the cemetery. Click this, it'll take you to the flooded fort. Click this, it'll take you to the gatehouse. Click this, it takes you to the Nexus chamber. Appendix A is monsters. Appendix B is items and oddities. Appendix C is alternate plot hooks and furthering the campaign. This is a symbol of Mabar. It's for our table of content. Part 1, when you get to the village, this is the optional encounter for the village after it's been attacked by undead. This is the Carnwood Forest, taking you from the village into the manifest zone. So there's a like a quote-unquote timeline or a map, basically of icons along the bottom of the page that are all identified inside of the content of the adventure. At the front of, like, at the very front end of the adventure, identifies what all these marks mean. And so then we can use them throughout. Anyway, the whole thing, like where it says like Vulpina Lotharia, this is hyperlinked. So if people click on it, it'll take them to provide the information about Lotharia does. If you click on the maps, there'll be the little symbol for the ferric vines. If you click it, it'll take you to here to explain you what ferric vine is. So it's highly hypertext and hyper navigatable. all the rooms in the dungeons and all the areas in the overland maps, they're all basically having boxes put around them like this, and then inside of the box it's an invisible GIF image that is now when you roll over it changes to the finger on PDFs, and if you click it in like on a tablet, or if you click on it with your mouse, it'll jump you to the page that area of the dungeon is on. So we were looking at that a couple episodes back. It's working incredibly well, and I am absolutely thrilled. I've never used that mechanic before in any of the work that I do, other than a navigation bar at the bottom of the PDFs that I do. This is the first time I've published an adventure, and I've been looking forward to doing this because I love that I love that navigation system that you can have with PDFs and like touch to click. It's super cool. So I'm currently doing a silhouette because these are undead creeping through the mist towards the characters. This isn't the right proportions, but we're just laying down a silhouette for now, and we're going to cover it over with fog so it becomes a faint silhouette that's creeping towards you. We were talking about this yesterday. The undead can see through this fog unhindered, while your character's vision is limited up to 40 feet, then it's obscured, and then another 40 feet it becomes completely opaque. You can't see any further, but the undead can see you 500 feet away. So anytime undead see you in the manifest zone, they can just close distance with you, and you won't know it until they're within 80 feet of you. So it's a pressure. And using the mob mechanics that the variant mob hazard, the DMG has a mob mechanic for having, mobs of creatures attacking you, and like if this is your armor class and this is the mob's base attack bonus, this is how many creatures in that size mob will hit you, and you automatically take damage. That's the way that the DMG works, but it's still complicated. So we made it really, really simple, and then we changed it into a saving throw hazard, like an area of effect. A strength or dexterity saving throw reduces the damage that the mob would do when it makes contact with, like physical contact with your character. You'll take X damage, save for half. And if you fail the saving throw, you're grappled, and they'll keep dealing damage to each round. So we're having 7th, 8th level characters in this adventure, and you could be hit for like anywhere from 10 to 28 points of damage per round that you're caught out by a mob. And the best people to deal with that in the game with the mechanics is the rogue and the monk using evasion, so they can evade complete damage altogether. So when you're being attacked by mobs with these variant, it's considered a hazard, because it's not, you can fight your way through it by killing them, but that doesn't prevent them from dealing damage to you whenever you are in a space adjacent to or occupied by the mob. That's why it's considered a hazard, and it converts it to a saving throw instead of an attack roll. So your armor class doesn't matter at all against the horde. It's just going to be how much damage will you take based on how many creatures are in contact with you, and we provide all the easy stats for making that happen. Each mob has its own list. Like, this is how many creatures are in the mob, this is how much damage it does, this is the saving throw, and it's all built out for you. And every time we mention a mob in the adventure, you can click the button and it'll bounce you to that mob, so you can see the stat block, so you know what it will do. And then you can navigate using the navigation bar back to that page that you were just on. Anyway, that's some of the stuff that we're working on. Hey, what's up? As if little kids couldn't type for naughty things into their own browsers. Well, you know, it's an emotional plead for a nefarious cause. They just want more shit. They just want to know what you're doing. For whatever reason, it concerns them. Let's see if I can make this undead a little interesting. Very close to finishing this one. All we really have to do is sketch out these undead, obscure them in the mist, and we're good to go to the final piece after this one. So I expect, even though we only have like about an hour. Yeah, we got an hour left on. No, yeah, a little less than an hour left. But we're just doing some undead outlines, so I don't anticipate this taking more than 25 minutes, maybe, if I'm going to be nitpicky about it. And I'm always nitpicky, so 25 minutes. My efforts to recruit people for playtesting Saturdays has been very spotty at best. I apparently don't know how to write a good advertisement to recruit people anymore. Either that or the ideas that I have about running games are bad. I think it's the former, not the latter. But you know, I'd like to keep getting some games going. But whenever I am fail at getting enough people to participate in a playtest, instead of playtesting, I just stream. So unless I can get at least a few people that are interested in playing this Saturday, I'm going to I'll be on Saturday morning doing game design as I typically do. Hopefully I'll figure out some way to get a reliable base of like maybe 4 or 5 people together, because I'd like to run a campaign. in March, and currently I just don't have the apparently I just don't have the pull to be able to get people to sit down. So I'm a little sad about that, but if anyone knows my philosophies about life, it's happening that way because it's not time for it to happen that way. And I don't want to beat myself up over it for stupid non-reasons. So I'm just going to adapt, and if I don't have enough people to play, then I'm just going to do game design Saturday mornings for a few hours. So I mean, it's not like it's a loss to me. It's just not. It's not what I have on my. It's not my primary hope for Saturday afternoon. But we'll get there. So it's Friday here. That's why I mentioned it. Tomorrow would normally be playtesting. Assuming that I can get a few people to play Mage Tower, we'll play Mage Tower. If not, I will just continue working on Color Mana. I realize that's a disincentive to have me really work hard to lock people in, because I love doing game design and I want to get these books published. So time spent is valued time. But anyway, I'm rambling. No, you can't in your time schedule. You have a 5-hour. Sad. Right on. I got a vet visit. Oh, I think she's got a tooth. Oh no, poor little pity. Because she's not. Yeah, that's probably it. All right. Thanks, Karen, for dropping by. I really appreciate you. See you on the other side. Good luck to the kitten. I've had multiple cats in my life, and most of them have had to have teeth pulled. And thanks, Fernando. I appreciate the care. Played some Super Atomic last night. I posted a link to that on my Discord channel. I really enjoy gaming with AJ and Wally and Fred. And I think I've gamed a little bit with Mark in the past, but not regularly. But Super Atomic is a very fun, high narrative BS influence. Like, how did Fred put it? It's a narrative role-playing game, which means that it focuses on bullshitting the DM to letting you do what you say you do with good descriptions. That's basically how system-like games work. Something like that. That's essentially what we're looking to do. Like that. A couple undead creeping out of the mist, and then we're going to add a denser fog layer to create variance in its to increase the opacity in front of it. But that's essentially what we're looking to do right there. So we're going to toss in another undead. Maybe we'll do like 3 undead. We'll go with traditional Japanese imbalance to create beauty on a page. And let's see if I can make something interesting about this one. Let's go with a tilt. A shape like that looks pretty broken, so we'll go in this direction and see where it takes us. going to grab a sip of coffee here. I'm taking this one kind of casually today. Later last night, we did some kaiju. It's super easy to build kaiju with the system that we have. It's the size increases, the scale of damage, and the hit points, but basically everything else stays the same. We did figure out that if your characters at the 5-foot scale, like on their feet, running around as medium-sized characters do, and then they come across something that's at the 50-foot scale, like a 50-foot kaiju tries to grapple you, and like if a Dark Mantle would normally have a DC 12 saving throw to envelop you in a typical dungeon at the 5-foot scale, if that kaiju, if that Dark Mantle is like 30, 40 feet in size, you would add 10 to the DC to avoid its grapple, restrain, enveloping abilities. So that DC 11 from the little small size, like 3-foot Dark Mantle that grips onto, that envelops your head and starts chewing on your skull. When it's 40 feet in size, that DC is 21 to avoid being caught inside of his envelope and swallowed. So it's fun, kaiju stuff, good kaiju stuff. That was a very subtle mechanic, but it's a little component that helps add to the difference in scale. And if it's something that's 100 feet or larger, or rather if it's larger than 50 feet, it gets into the 500-foot scale, and then you add 20 to the DC with a maximum of 30. So if a 200-foot Dark Mantle tries to snatch you up in its billows and swallow you, it's basically a DC 30 to avoid that. So, but you're so insignificant at 5 foot compared to its 100, 200, 400-foot frame. It shouldn't notice you, but the rules need to be there. It would more likely be trying to eat your mecha that you happen to be inside of. Same end result, but when you're at the 50-foot scale and the creature that you're fighting is at the 100-foot scale, then in the case of the Dark Mantle, it wouldn't be a DC 30, it would then be a DC 21. If both the Dark Mantle and your mecha are both at the 50-foot scale, it would try to glom onto your mecha, and since you're at the same scale, it would again default down to DC 11. So it's just a matter of are you outscaling or underscaling the enemy that you're fighting, which makes having mecha that much more important because it scales you up. And we made a Gadge, which is a Dark Sun psychic creature. So psychic damage doesn't increase with size. Psychic damage doesn't attack ships and vehicles. It attacks the pilot. And your pilot's still at the 5-foot scale with your normal hit points. So the Gadge's psychic attacks are like the psionic attacks of an Illithid. It's targeting your ship, but when you're spelljamming and in control of the ship, it's effectively wild shaping you into that ship. So you can still be targeted by psychic attacks, but it hits whoever's piloting at the time instead of damaging the ship. And blah blah blah. So that was fun stuff. We figured some of that stuff out last night, which is going to be important for the playtesting that we do in the campaign when we fire that up in March, April, whenever. I think I see text. What's up? What is your favorite mechanic that is not in the official D&D? Like just a random variant rule that can be applied to D&D in general? I mean, the proficiency dice is immediately my top answer because my Spelljammer mechanics and my Bastion campaign system both use proficiency dice instead of static proficiency bonuses. That represents when you're using in my systems, when you're using proficiency dice, it's because you're commanding multiple NPC creatures to act as a team. In Spelljammer, it's siege weapons. So instead of having a static +3 bonus as a 5th level character, making an attack with a siege weapon, instead you're issuing a command to the siege crew to aim, fire, and reload the weapon. And so instead of having that static +3 bonus, you have a D6 bonus instead. Because sometimes the team works like shit together and they roll 1. sometimes the team works fantastic together and they roll, like, say, a d6. So the rank of the crew from 1 to 5, and the rank of your character 1 to 5. If you have a 3rd rank crew and a 3rd rank character, it's going to be you're going to roll a d8 instead of a +4 bonus. If you have a 3rd rank crew and a 2nd rank character, like level 5, then the crew doesn't get efficient commands from the character to act as efficiently as they could because they're waiting on commands from the character. So even though it's a 3rd rank crew, you're only rolling a d6 proficiency bonus as part of your attack roll, because the crew, if you were a stronger commander, you could have a better crew. If you were a 3rd rank commander and a 2nd rank crew, it's going to only be a d6 because the crew isn't capable of performing at the level of command that you're providing. So it forces the characters to increase the quality or like the rank of the crew, either by keeping their current crew alive and allowing them to accumulate enough battles to gain rank on their own, or to go back to a port somewhere and recruit higher rank crew when your characters gain levels. And higher rank crews cost more money, or the original crew that you worked with, they take a number of battles to survive to gain those ranks, and that's all detailed in the book. But in the Bastion campaign, if you order your Bastion facilities to like create you a longsword, and it's a 3rd rank Bastion, it'll have 5 metallurgists or smithies in your armory or your blacksmith shop. So you're issuing an order to them to work together to build your armor, and that would be a crafting check. And again, a 3rd rank facility offers 3rd rank benefits, which is a plus d8 to the die roll. So I'd roll a d20 plus 3 because of the rank of the facility, plus d8 because of its variable. And like a 3rd rank task requires a DC 20 to succeed. So d20 plus 3 plus d8, you're probably going to succeed at that 3rd rank task. Like for example, making full plate armor, which is 1,200 gold piece value. Anything more than 400 gold is considered 3rd rank difficulty, so it automatically default to a DC 20 or higher. So the proficiency dice allow you to have a lot more variance in the result that you're going to get from ability checks, which in my opinion is ideal for commanding groups of people that can coordinate and work together at different degrees. And if they work like shit together, you can narrate, Paul and Susie had been dating, but now they broke up, and now they're being pissy with each other whenever they're trying to work together, and it's making the work environment hell. And that could explain why you rolled that 1 on your D8 instead of rolling an 8. The honeymoon's over. Now they're just drunks. So they're bringing down the team. You got to do something about it if you want. But that's all narrative shit. Yeah. And my the other mechanic that I like the most that isn't core D&D but is suggested is players roll everything. Players roll all dice. And that way, me as a DM, all I have to do is just shout out difficulties. I don't use this in my playtesting. Those proficiency dice rules are part of playtesting when we're playtesting those type of mechanics, obviously. But the players roll everything. That's just what I prefer to do at my home table in my normal campaigns for myself, because the less dice I have to roll, the more processing time I get to spend while they're rolling dice for me to figure out what's next. Like it gives me latency, so that I have time to buffer the world before they catch up with their die results. And if the player's always rolling, like if I'm going to attack the players and they have to roll a defense roll instead of me making an attack roll, that means I'm going to attack you with 3 creatures, here they come, and then I can go, give me an attack roll, or give me a defense roll, and it's basically they're using their armor class as a modifier to their defense roll, and the higher they roll, the less creatures hit them. The lower they roll, the more creatures hit them. So I can scale up and down damage, and they're essentially always making saving throws, and they're always engaged, and their turn is never really over because they're always having to pay attention to what am I being attacked? What do I need to make my save against? And so their team engagement, like their table engagement, is really high because they don't get a break. I mean, the only time they get a break is when somebody else is doing something. But between each person doing something, the monsters attack, and at any time they can be forced to make a saving throw to respond to that, whether they're within melee range or actually being targeted, like with a saving throw effect or something. So those are probably the two variant rules that I use the most in my tables, my campaigns. The End by Phil Kearney. Thanks for asking. Yeah, love proficiency dice. They're super, super cool. And making the characters roll for saves all the time really helps change the dynamic of how the DM can run the table and how much bandwidth you get.